Yeah, good morning. Today we are doing Uddhava Gita, chapter 7. I think chapter 7, and we were left with only one verse. That is verse number 24. So we will be doing verse 24 onwards, and then we'll move on to the next chapter. The next chapter is about the gunas. So before we begin, I will just give you a small idea about the previous verse, and then we will go to this current verse. We are doing Uddhava Gita, chapter 7, verse 24. Thus, being steady and watchful with the acts of knowledge, sharpened by the service of the Guru, with one pointed devotion, cut asunder this tree of samsara, rooted in the soul, and then, being identified with thyself, lay down thy weapon. Like I said, I will do the previous verse also so that you get a better understanding of what this verse is all about. So the previous verse 23 says, vultures frequenting villages eat one of the fruits, while swans living in the forest eat the other. He who with the help of the Guru knows the one Lord, whose attribute is Maya, assuming diverse forms, understands the Vedas. This is regarding merits and demerits in this world. What is merit and what is demerit? Now, we have been discussing this last entire week. What is the merit and what is demerit? Here, there is a clear understanding in the 23rd verse. Krishna is saying to Uddhava that you should always pluck things like a swan and not like a vulture. What does the vulture do? The vulture always eats the dead flesh. It is always hovering on top and it is looking at the dead flesh and looking and trying to identify the dead flesh and eat it. What does the swan do? The swan, it dips its beak inside the milk and only eats the sattva of the milk. That means it only takes the good stuff out of the milk. So now there are people in this world who are so used to behaving like vultures. Even under the tutelage of a guru, they will still take out the wrong meanings of the words. They will only identify words which are not even supposed to be identified. Take out the wrong meanings, use those words, and then they think that they will achieve spiritual success. Krishna here clearly says, you have to be a swan, and with the help of the Guru. The Guru always teaches the good stuff, which is what we are going to do in the next chapter. Why is it important to become sattvic in nature? So always identify the good stuff. People do not want to identify the good stuff, they identify with the bad stuff. So they become like vultures. You have to become a swan. Ramakrishna Paramahansa. Paramahansa means what? Paramhansa means the eternal swan. He was always talking good. He always spoke right words. He was a perfect person. There are people in this world who, like vulture, take all the wrong words out and they speak. So this is what the meaning was. While the Guru is there to help a person, you have to always identify the spiritual dharmic path, which means the righteous path, and then achieve the spiritual success. So today's verse says, Thus, being steady and watchful with the acts of knowledge sharpened by the services of the Guru with one pointed devotion, cut asunder the tree of samsara rooted in the soul, and then being identified with thyself, lay down thy weapons. First, you have to be steady and watchful. You got to be so perfect in your world. Every word that you utter has to be perfect. Did you understand that? As a student, he is telling Uddhava, whatever words that you speak, speak them absolutely perfectly. Always be watchful. When a person speaks garrulously, they keep on saying all kinds of nonsensical stuff. They really do not know what they speak. That causes the person to fall down. If somebody says anything against the Guru, against God, it is not right. You see, in India, yesterday, a person was arrested because of sedition, speaking highly about another country or speaking against the law. That person can go to jail. Isn't it right? So if a person speaks wrongly, even by mistake, the person can go to jail. So in the material world, never ever speak the wrong language. Got it? You cannot hail another country. When there is a national anthem going on, it is a law that you need to stand and pay respect to the national anthem. You cannot say, I am sorry, I don't want to stand. It is not the right thing to do. In spirituality, it is extremely important to speak the right language. Any person who speaks the wrong language says a lot of words which are not right, while on the path to spiritual, they will lose the spiritual stuff that is there within them. Being steady and watchful with the acts of knowledge, people have learned the Bhagavad Gita and many other scriptures perfectly, and yet after knowing the Bhagavad Gita, they say wrong and bad things about Krishna. Do you think that is accepted? Just like in the government, there is a police which always will come and catch that person who is doing something wrong. Who is the police in the spiritual domain? It is called Maya. It is the Prakriti herself. We call it the universe. The universe remembers this. Somebody is doing something wrong against the Guru or God. There is always a punishment. That person can be going highly in the spiritual domain. But this is what he says. If you are sharpened by the spiritual knowledge and the service of the Guru, the service of the Guru has to be perfect. I have said this many a times before. I will reiterate that thing. The service of the Guru is to be done with complete surrender. Do you understand? Even before the Guru says any words, if a person is able to fulfill whatever the Guru was going to say, he is called the highest devotee or the highest of the disciple. When the Guru says something and then the person fulfills it, it is the mediocre class of a student. And when the Guru says something and the student doesn't even listen and uses her or his mind, that is the worst category of the student. If the Guru says, "Can you give me a glass of water?" and then the person gives a glass of water, what happens? The person who gives the glass of water is a mediocre person. But if the Guru is sitting for a satsang and the glass of water is already there in front of him, whoever has provided would be called the highest of the disciples. And the mediocre one I just now explained, and the worst person, the person who is not even interested, is lost in his own world. That person could be dreaming, could be sleeping, could not be there, is having his own issues, would always come up with objection, will give some different kind of reasoning. What is the reasoning? Reasoning is, oh, there is no clean glass over here. First I will have to go and get a glass for you. Clean the glass. Then I'll have to get pure water for you. By the time the Guru would be dead. Somebody who does this kind of a thing is called the worst kind of a student. So there are three classes which have been identified. Like that, there are three kinds of gurus also. It is there in the Bhagavad Gita. So I don't want to repeat that, but we are discussing about Uddhava. Uddhava is supposed to be the brightest of the pupils. So you have to be steady and watchful. Then you have the knowledge with you. Using that knowledge, you have to be always steady and watchful. Never ever say any wrong words to the Guru. Remember, the universe is listening. The Guru may not do anything. You understand what I am saying? Tomorrow, if somebody says something against the Indian national flag, maybe the president will pardon. But do you think that the public will pardon? Not at all. Please understand, the public will lynch that person. If somebody goes and burns the national flag, there may be a pardon coming from the Supreme Court or even from the President of India. But do you think the public will listen? No. This person may be lynched or may be treated very badly, may be thrown out of the society also. Because remember, the universe is like this. It is the public. It's the public which puts up the president and the court in place, isn't it? So always remember, never speak against any scriptures, the God Almighty, or even against the Guru. Not even a single word. Because please understand, even if the Guru pardons, even if God pardons, but definitely the universe will never give a pardon. And the Guru and the God is not even bothered about the universe. Remember the verse where they say that the divinity is not even interacting. Correct? So, you have to do the service unto the Guru. Then this cut asunder. What is this samsara? The continuous birth and death and birth and death and birth and death. The cycle of rebirths that we go through. Once you do this, follow the teachings, follow the righteous path, be steady and watchful, do the service unto the Guru, then the person will be free to cut the roots of this tree of samsara. That means your life and death cycles can be absolutely cut, and then you will be free. So what happens is, lays down that weapon. Then this struggle for realization goes away. Alright? So now we have ended the chapter 7. We will move to chapter 8. we are doing we are doing Uddhava Gita, chapter 8. We are beginning the chapter today. The beginning is all about the various types of gunas. So first we are going to discuss the Sattva Guna. So let us see what Krishna says. The Lord said, the gunas, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas belong to the intellect and not to the self. Through Sattva, one should subdue the other two and subdue Sattva also by means of Sattva itself. Now what does this mean? First and foremost, there are three gunas. I think by now we have repeated this thousands of times. There are three gunas. First is called the Sattva, second is called the Rajas, third is called the Tamas. Tamas is all about inactivity, laziness, all the bad stuff in this world. Okay? The second one is Rajas. Rajas is all about activity based. It is dynamic in nature. You want to do something or the other constantly. The mind is constantly doing something or the other at play. And the person is always doing something or the other. He's never at rest. Okay? Work, activity of all kinds, talking, going around here and there, walking, running, doing, moving hands, so on and so forth. Such kind of a person is Rajasic in nature. He wants to earn money, he wants to make a lot of money, wants to give speeches, wants to become famous, wants to become all kinds of things. He is Rajasic in nature. Then the third guna is the pure one, which is called Sattva. Now Sattva guna is the highest one. So what is Krishna saying over here? Krishna is saying there are these three gunas, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. They belong to the intellect and not to the self. People think that these gunas belong to the God, the self, the divinity. Not at all. None of this belongs to this, what is called as the self. But in this world, first you have to overcome the two gunas called Rajas and Tamas. It is called the qualifier. If you want to qualify for spirituality, you have to move towards the Sattva. The Sattva guna always has to be kept in prominent display in front of your eyes. He says, though they belong to the intellect and not to the self, through Sattva, one should subdue the other two. A person has to overcome the two gunas, which is called Rajas and Tamas. Laziness in a person has to be always overcome by means of spiritual discipline. I meet a lot of people who come from the ashrams of different gurus. When they come from this guru's ashram, in the ashram they may be getting up at 3:30 and 4 o'clock in the morning. They will be doing their various sadhanas of different kinds. They will attend the morning prayers. They will also be doing different kinds of yogasanas. They will be doing pranayama. There will be different types of kriyas they are performing. They will be eating at specific timings. You see, food is served in the ashram at specific timings, so they are used to certain timings. Their food is sattvic in nature. Everything is perfectly put over there. The closing time is defined. If there is a shutout, that is the shutdown of the lights and everything at 9 p.m., then these people will sleep. There are no wrong things happening over there. But the moment they come out of the ashram, first and foremost, what they will do is not get up at all. They will give 1,000 reasons why they cannot get up that particular day. What are the reasons? The reasons could be stupidest of them all. Last night I went to sleep very late. Suppose you are in an ashram and you reach the ashram at 12:30 in the night from your bus. Are you not supposed to be getting up at 4 a.m.? Can you give a reasoning that, oh, I reached the ashram itself at 12 o'clock in the night, and by the time I could check in, it was around 1 o'clock, and then I went to sleep and I couldn't get up. Can you give that reasoning? You cannot. You have to get up at 4 a.m. in the morning, not at 7 a.m. or 10. But when they let go in their life, how do they live? They will be not getting up at all. I have heard people giving the most stupidest reason of all. This is one of the reasons. Oh, I couldn't sleep. Second one, the weather is bad. Okay, there are ashrams in the Himalayas. In the Himalayas also you have to get up at 3:30 and 4 a.m. in the morning. Is the weather good over there, or is it absolutely cold? So can you give this kind of a reasoning? The weather is not good. I got pain in my stomach. I am not feeling well. I am having my periods. What kind of nonsensical stuff people will dish out so that they can get away with it? But imagine the same thing if you are there in an army. If you are a recruit in an army, can you tell your commandant that, oh, I went to sleep late in the night, that is why I couldn't get up? Can you give this kind of a reasoning? Can you tell your commandant, I have my period, that's why I couldn't do it? You think the commandant is going to be accepting your nonsense? He will say, if tomorrow the enemy comes and stands in front of you, even when you are having your period, don't you think you are supposed to get up and fight? The women in India have been offered a permanent commission in the army. The Supreme Court has ruled, if the women are on the front fighting a battle with the enemy, do you think they will be allowed to give this kind of a reasoning? My baby is sick, that is the reason why I couldn't fight. Do you think this reasoning can be given? Spiritual is far more greater than any of these kind of things. Giving reasoning is not correct. First is called spiritual discipline. You have to start getting up in time, doing your stuff in time. All your sadhanas have to be done. If you are in the material world, please remember, even in the material world, you have to do two things. One with this hand and one with this hand. That means, first and foremost, you are supposed to take care of your family, your near and dear ones. You have to go and work in the field. You are supposed to take care that the money is coming at home, so on and so forth. That is on one side. And on the second side, you are supposed to do everything from the dharma perspective. And everything which your guru has taught has to be done perfectly. You cannot give reasoning that I am sick, I am old, I am tired, I am this, I am that. No reasoning can be accepted. Please remember this. Krishna is telling Uddhava these words. Do not give any kind of reasoning. You have to first move towards sattva, which means spiritual discipline is a must. Getting up in time is a must. Following the path of spirituality is a must. You cannot use wrong language whichever way. You cannot go and diss out anything to anybody or any person. Please remember this one thing. It is extremely important if you want to grow in the spiritual domain. The guru may forgive you. The guru may forgive you, and even the God may forgive you. The world is not going to forgive you. Nobody, no person on this planet Earth is devoid of this. Can say, I know I am an exception. There are no exceptions in this. The universe will work. So, Sattva Guna is the first thing that you got to achieve. Rajoguna is that active, dynamic one. Remember, wanting to make money, so on and so forth. Right? Rajoguna. Wanting to become famous, moneyed, this, that, so many things. Constantly working and so on and so forth. What do the spiritual people do? Have you ever seen a yogi in action? A yogi is always calm, peaceful, kind, compassionate, loving, caring. All the good words that you want to put on them. Those who follow the path of spiritual have to understand this. They have to go towards sattva guna. They have to become goodness incorporated. Be your good self is the first verse of this particular chapter. Be your good self. In the same verse, Krishna says, once you have achieved this particular status, then the sattva guna has to be eliminated with sattva guna. What does this mean? Let us say you have become perfect. You are very kind. You are very compassionate. You are very loving and caring. You say your prayers. You get up in time. You have become an epitome of goodness. What is the next thing that you got to do? Remember, in every spiritual text it is written, you have to achieve the state of equanimity of mind. Equanimity means you cannot swing right or you cannot swing left also. So if you see a person doing good in this world, you are not supposed to say, oh, this is such a nice thing, you are doing something good. The material worldly people only say all these things. Spiritually perfect people are not even supposed to say. If somebody does something bad in this world, the spiritual person is never going to say, oh, that person is doing bad. The perfect being who has overcome even the third one called sattva. First you have to achieve the sattva and then you have to overcome the sattva. Equanimity of mind, where you cannot say this is good or this is bad. You cannot say this is right or this is wrong. The equanimity of mind has to be maintained 24/7. You cannot be partial to good people. And you cannot be impartial to all the other people. Sorry, you are not allowed. In spiritual, you have to be out of the system. This is what he says. And the other two. And subdue sattva also by means of sattva itself. Got it? Remember, the sattva guna in our world is with the Vishnu tattva. Isn't it? Brahma is always supported by what is called as a Rajoguna. And Shivji is connected to Tamoguna. So these are the three gods connected with these three gunas. Remember, Sattva is with Vishnu Tattva. Then we have Brahmaji. Brahmaji is connected with Rajas, activity. And third one is Tamoguna, which is connected to death and so many other things. That is supposed to be with Shivji. You have to overcome this also. You have to go beyond Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva also. Self, God Almighty, Krishna is beyond all this. If you want to attain the spiritual world of Krishna, you have to go beyond the sattva as well. You cannot be biased. You cannot say this is good, that is why I am with the good. You cannot say I want to avoid the bad. No way. You have to see equanimity in everything. There is neither good nor bad in this world. That when you achieve is the highest perfection in the world. Sri Krishna tells Arjuna also the same thing. You got to have equanimity of mind. You cannot blame people and you cannot say some people are good. There is neither good nor bad in this world. Now think the examples in our life. When we study the Ramayana, have you ever seen Rama, Shri Ram, giving any kind of bad words or saying something bad about Ravana? Never. But he kills Ravana. He kills Ravana and absorbs him in his body. Same way with Kamsa. Krishna killed Kamsa. He subdued Kaliya. He killed all those great Rakshasas and Rakshasis. I'm sure you know the story of Putana also. He killed her by drinking her milk and absorbed her in his body. He never said Putana is bad. He never said Kamsa is bad. Kamsa is the worst person on earth. He never said a single word. Please understand, this is the way in which the spiritually perfect people work. They do not call anything bad or anything good. They are higher than Sattva also. The greatest good in this world is to be beyond Sattva. So first, if you are in the Tamoguna, please try to come to Sattva. If you are in the Rajoguna, please try to come towards Sattva. And once you have achieved your Sattvic perfection, do not stay in Sattva also. Kill Sattva with Sattva itself. This was explained by Shri Ramakrishna Paramahansa in a very beautiful way. He said, once upon a time, it so happened that a merchant was passing through the jungle. 3 robbers stopped him. The first robber said, "Let us kill him and take everything that he has." The second robber said, No, we should not kill him. We can just tie him up and we can loot him. The third robber did not say anything. But they all robbed and went away. Now it so happened that the third robber came back, untied this person, this merchant. And then he took this merchant and he said, "Please, I want to save you. I will show you the village." And he starts taking him towards the village. At the outskirt of the village, the third person, the third robber says, "You can please go ahead. I am not going to come with you." So the merchant says, "You are such a nice person. Why can you not come with me?" So this person says, "I am sorry. I am still a robber. Even if I saved you, I am still a robber. I have robbed you." He is Sattva Guna. So the person who wanted to kill this merchant is called Tamoguna. He wants to do all the wrong stuff. Kill, do this, do that, all kind of wrong stuff the person wants to do. In spirituality, the moment you say, "I want to kill, I want to destroy, I want to do this, I want to do that," and you do those kind of acts, you are on the path of Tamoguna. And from Tamoguna, it is very difficult to achieve success in spiritual. The second one, who ties up this person in the jungle and loots him and goes away. I want you to think very carefully. Suppose he tied up this person and went away. Don't you think some animals will come and eat this person? Or this person may be tied to that tree forever, may die because of thirst, food, so on and so forth. Hunger and all that. So Rajoguna, people who are active, dynamic, want to do things, they are full of passion. I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this, I want to do that. They want to achieve in this world. Even in spiritual, that is the worst thing to do. You cannot have that kind of an attitude. So these two gunas, passion, which is rajas, and inactivity, which is tamas, have to be discarded to reach the third one, which is the person who tries to save this merchant. Sattva-guna. You have to always become sattvic in nature. Always be your good self. Be kind, compassionate, loving, caring, understanding, all the good words in this world. Please be that. Charitable and so on and so forth. You understand? Be that. But when you are in spiritual, you have to discard that as well. So the person takes this merchant to the outskirts of the village and says, you please go ahead, I cannot come with you because I am still a robber. So you have to drop even the sattva guna. So this story very nicely explains to you that you have to drop even that kindness thing which you have in you, even the thing which you say, I'm charitable, I am good, all this also has to be dropped, because the moment you say, I did this, I am that, I am a kind person, even the thought itself coming to you is destructive. Everybody has all the gunas in them. Everybody has all the gunas in, bankrolled in them. Sattva, there is rajas and there is tamas. But you got to drop all three when you want to come to Krishna. Please remember this. We are moving to verse 2 from chapter 8. Through developed sattva, a man attains the form of spirituality which consists of devotion to me. Through the use of sattvic things, sattva is developed that leads to spirituality. When you become sattvic in nature, only when you become sattvic in nature can you achieve devotion to Krishna. You see, if you develop devotion, let us say in the tamoguna, you will go towards Shiva. If you develop it in rajoguna, you will go towards Brahma. After you die, you will achieve Brahmaloka if you are rajasic in nature. If you are tamasic in nature, you will achieve Kailasha. If you are sattvic in nature, you will achieve Vaikuntha. Remember this, Krishna is Vishnu Tattva as well. I hope you know that. So suppose you die as a sattvic being, you will achieve Vaikuntha. You see, there is a particular time in the year when everybody crowds towards Tirupati Balaji and all these Padmanabh Swami temples and all. Vaikuntha Dwar is open. Come on, let us rush through in that place. You understand this, no? But Krishna is saying something very beautiful over here. Do you want to achieve devotion to me? Then you better become sattvic in nature. If you are rajasic and tamasic, you know where you are going to go. Sattva guna is the only way of devotion. There is no other path. You cannot say that this path is open for me. No, I am sorry. Krishna very clearly, chapter 8, Uddhava Gita, verse 2 says, you have to become sattvic in nature. Goodness personified. Be your good self. Got it? He says, through developed sattva, a man attains to that form of spirituality which consists of devotion to me. Person becomes spiritual and is becoming a devotee of Krishna. Got it? This is an important verse for you to understand. If you want Krishna in you, the devotion of Krishna in you, then you have to become sattvic in nature. There are no exceptions in this rule. If you are tamasic, you will go towards Shiva. If you are Rajasic, you will go towards Brahma. If you have just a little of Sattva, then maybe in your next life you will have to come and work for Sattva. And maybe again you get a little of Sattva, you still have to come again from whichever loka that you are. Suppose you are Tamoguna, you have to go to Kailasha and come back again and work towards Sattva. It is not so easy and simple as it looks like. You better be understanding in this. If you want to get realized, then you have another path. If you want to go towards Krishna, that is another path. Realization is a different. Going towards Krishna is different. Going towards Krishna means devotion to Krishna only. So he says, through the use of sattvic things, pure sattva is developed. This leads to spirituality. Now, through the use of sattvic things, what does it mean? Sattvic things very simply means the method of doing prayers, the method of reaching God from the sattvic path. Getting up in time. Again, I have to repeat the whole thing once again. Do you understand? This is being told 100 times so that at least that little 1%, one line will go into your head. Sattva guna. Be your good self. Correct. Number 2, get up in time. Do your sadhanas. Correct. Do your readings. Correct. Next thing, satsanga with your guru. Correct. Guru seva is a must. Correct. You understand? All these are ticks. All these are ticks on the sattva guna only. These ticks are not there in rajoguna and tamoguna. So you cannot say, oh, it is okay, Krishna is fine, I will not have a bath and I will go and dance with Krishna. Don't dance with Krishna without taking a bath. You still have to follow the sattvic things. Krishna says very clearly, if there are prayers to be done, you have to follow the path of the prayers. You understand this? If you are praying to Krishna, do you know there are various prayers addressed to Krishna? Please say those prayers. Got it? If you want to go towards Shivji, you have to say Shiva's prayers. Got it? He has said this in the Bhagavad Gita many a times. He says, whichever domain you want to go to, you can go and take that as an Ishta. If your Ishta is Brahmaji, then you can go and pray to Brahmaji for whatever that you wish to, and you will get Brahmaji's heavens. If you want Kali Mata's heavens or Kali Mata's domain, then you go and pray to Kali. Krishna says, use this knowledge of Sattva. Use those things which are connected to me. If you want to offer flowers to me, there are specific flowers which I love. Please offer them to me. You cannot go and cut one, bakra. That is Kali Mata's domain, not mine. I have not asked you to do that. I am only talking about the goodness in this world. Remember this, my domain is goodness alone, because I have incarnated as Vishnu avatar. Was Krishna any other avatar? Think about it. Did Krishna, come as any other avatar, or is it called a Vishnu avatar? He was a Vishnu avatar. So please understand, he is always leaning towards Sattva Guna. So in the material world, you have to use sattvic things. So the water has to be good that you are offering a Achmana. The flowers have to be good which are connected to Krishna only. That all those things that you are offering to Krishna, they have to be connected to Krishna alone. So you cannot bring mutton and chicken and all that, please. Don't come and cut one, a cock or something like that. That is Kali Mata, not Krishna. And Krishna is everybody. Yes, of course, Krishna can take any form. It's a different story. But when you want to come towards Sattva, this is what you got to do. The sattvic path and the sattvic things are perfect. And the path has been laid out very clearly. Understood? So once you understand this, always follow this particular path. Krishna is higher than all the gods put together. Remember, beyond the Sattva Guna as well. Krishna is beyond that. He is called the Father in heaven also. He is called the Almighty God. He is the one who creates this entire thing. So to achieve Krishna, devotion to Krishna, you got to first become Sattvic and then leave Sattva and go towards him on the path of devotion itself. Through the use of Sattvic things, Sattva is developed and that leads to spirituality. You want to become spiritually perfect, you want to understand spirituality, come towards this domain of Sattva and just be one in devotion to Krishna alone. That is it. So I have come to verse 2 from chapter 8 of the Uddhava Gita, and I will start verse 3 onwards tomorrow. I will see you all tomorrow. You have a very great day and take care of yourself. Bye.